I don't know about you, but I'm a sucker for productivity tips. I think it's mainly because when I spend too much time staring at my screen, I get tired, irritable, and reminisce about the good old days when I used to do things, like go outside. I assume because you clicked on this video, you're also a sucker for productivity tips. But it's likely that you realize by now that a lot of productivity tips don't really make much of a difference. Well, in this video, I'm going to share with you the 10 settings that I change on every MacBook that I ever get. And these 10 settings have really helped me to speed up my workflow and work much more efficiently. So let's dive in. The first thing we're going to do is go all the way up into the top left-hand corner and click on System Preferences. Once we're in System Preferences, what we want to do is click on Trackpad. And then in here, what you can do is change the tracking speed. So initially your tracking speed is likely somewhere in the middle. What you want to do is turn it all the way up to the fastest tracking speed. Now, initially this is going to feel like you've drunk way too much caffeine and everything moves way too quickly, but you'll get used to this really quickly. And then all of a sudden, instead of it taking like a few seconds just to get from place to place, it's going to take kind of half a second to get there. These marginal gains are going to save so much time in the long run because the chances are you're probably using your Mac 6 to 8 hours every day. Okay, so the second thing we want to do is go back to System Preferences and then go up to Notifications and Focus. Once we're in the Notifications tab, what we want to do is go through all the apps that we do not want to get notifications from and turn off notifications. So by default, a lot of these are going to allow notifications from these apps. So what you want to do is make sure it is unchecked on every single app that you do not want to get notifications for. For me, that is especially Slack because that Slack noise gives me PTSD. The only real app that I actually still keep notifications on for is Fantastical, which is my calendar app because I like to get those little notifications before a call or before a different event in my calendar. And then FaceTime and Messages. Once you've turned off all the notifications for the different apps that you don't want to get notifications from, what you need to do is come up into the right-hand corner here and then click on Focus. Now these focus modes are pretty new to Mac OS. We've always had Do Not Disturb, but there's a few others that you can edit in here. I personally use the Work Focus mode, and what this does is it turns off all notifications from every app except these allowed apps between certain times. So currently I have it set up to turn off notifications from all apps between 7 AM and 5 PM. The only app that I actually allow notifications from is Trello, and that is because Trello is what I actually use for web design and web development. Then inside of there, you can also set up the ability for certain people to be able to bypass this focus mode and actually be able to contact you between this period of time. And then the final thing that you want to do in here is go down to the bottom left-hand corner and make sure you have this shared across devices. So what this is going to do is when your focus mode is active, it's not going to bother you on your phone, your Mac, or your iPad if you have these devices. The next thing we want to do is back out and go into System Preferences again, and we want to set up hot corners. So hot corners is something I've only recently learned about, but it saves me so much time. So you go into Desktop and Screensaver, and then make sure you're on the Screensaver tab. Down in the bottom right, there is hot corners, and you can click on here and set up different hot corners for the four corners of your Mac. Currently, I have 3 setups. I have Mission Control, Desktop, and Quick Note. And all these do is when I reach into that corner with my mouse, an action is going to be taken. So for example, if I reach into the top right-hand corner, then it's going to expose the desktop. If I reach back into that corner, then the app that I'm on comes back. If I go into the bottom right-hand corner, it lets me create a Quick Note. And if I go into the top left-hand corner, it lets me see Mission Control. These little settings can be set up inside of here. So we have like Launchpad, Quick Note, Put Display to Sleep, and a bunch of other things that you can do inside of here. The main one I actually use is the desktop. So often I'll be inside another app, and when I'm inside the app, I'll quickly want to view the desktop, maybe to grab a file or maybe to put a file on the desktop itself. So what I'll do is quickly just reach into the corner, then I can see all my desktop, reach back into that corner, and then everything comes back. This saves so much time rather than having to go into the Finder or to minimize all the apps that you currently have open. The next thing we want to do is to hide this dock down at the bottom. So what we want to do again here is go back into System Preferences, and then we want to go to Dock and Menu Bar. Inside of here, you can change the size of the dock itself, so you can change the size of the icons, how big they're going to appear on your screen. But the thing that I always do with my Macs is I automatically hide and show the dock. So this is going to make sure that this dock is not appearing on the screen unless I actually reach down to use it. The reason for hiding the dock is that then it doesn't take up your screen real estate. I also find that it can be a little bit distracting when you have these other apps open. If you're struggling to focus on one task, it can be really tempting to open up another app. If you don't have that visual cue there, then the chances are you're not going to switch app and you're going to keep your focus. So what you want to do in here is just make sure that automatically hide and show dock is checked, and then you can also change the size of your dock to whatever fits you. I personally keep my dock on the bottom because I often use an external screen, and when I use that external screen, I can access the dock from either of those screens. If I have it on right or left, that means that I I have to go all the way from one side of the screen to the other to actually access the dock if I've got both screens open. I personally almost never use the dock itself. I navigate through my computer using my keyboard, and I'll show you how to do that a little bit later in the video. The next quick setting that we can change is inside the Finder. So if we go down to the Finder down here and open up whatever file you like. So we come into here and then click View and then Show Path Bar. And what this is going to do is it's going to create a breadcrumb trail of the file that you're actually in. This is really nice because you can see which files you've clicked in and where this file is in the hierarchy. When you're trying to find files and navigate between different files, this is going to save so much time rather than having to go all the way back out or having to find it again going back through that kind of tedious system. Instead, you can just back out to the file above. The next thing we want to do inside of here is go back to the view and we want to show the status bar. So the status bar is a bit of a retro Mac feature, but I find it incredibly useful. What it's going to do is it's going to tell you how many files are actually in your view window. It will also tell you how many files you actually have selected. So if we select a few here, it's going to tell me that 7 of the 95 files are selected here. What it also does is it tells you exactly how much storage you still have left on your computer. As you can see, mine is rapidly depleting because I'm recording this video on my computer. This is really useful, especially if you're dealing with big files. The next thing we want to do is use stacks on the desktop. So if we go back to the desktop and then I uncheck use stacks, you're going to see that my desktop is actually pretty ugly. Before it looked pretty nice, but this just looks yuck. To access use stacks, all you have to do is right click and then click use stacks. It's then going to group all your content by the type of content it is. For example, we have my movies on here, we have other, we have images, and by using stacks it makes it really easy to actually find the content that's on your desktop. I personally use a desktop as kind of like a temporary storing place, and I don't think I'll be able to do that without using stacks. The next thing I want to quickly show you, because I realize that some people don't actually know about this, is if you actually click on a file, and don't double click into it. If you just click onto the file and then click spacebar, it's going to let you preview that file. So as you can see here, we have a video. It'll let you preview a video. It'll let you preview an image. It will let you preview a PDF. There's a bunch of different things that you can preview with just using the spacebar. And this saves you from actually having to open up the app itself. The next thing that can help save a lot of time is to change the default open with. For example, if you wanted to open all of your MP4 files, so all of your video files with a certain program, what you typically do is go into here, then right click and then click open with and then choose the actual app that you want to open it with. But because this is quite tedious and if you want to do it all the time with a certain program, instead what you can do is go down to get info and then go across over here and then click the open with tab. Once you click down into the open with, it's going to let you select the different app that you want to use. If you select the app along here and then click change all, then every time you open this MP4 file, it's going to open with CleanShot X rather than it opening with the QuickTime player. Now these last two settings are not really settings, they're more these free little tools that you can use to completely change the way you use your Mac. Now the first of those tools is called Alfred. Now Alfred is essentially the Spotlight search that's built natively into macOS, but it is Spotlight on steroids. It is so much better than Spotlight and it saves so much time while you're using your Mac. So as you can see here, I've got Alfred open. This is the actual settings rather than the way you interact with Alfred typically. You can see that my hotkey for using Alfred is Command and then space. When I hit Command and space, it brings up this little bar, this little search bar. What you can do here is completely ridiculous. Alfred lets you search different websites directly from the Alfred search bar. So for example, if you want to look on Amazon for dog food, it would search Amazon for dog food. If you wanted to type in dog food in general, it would go to Google and search dog food. The other thing that's great about Alfred is how much time it saves when you're searching for different files. If you type in find and then the actual file that you're looking for, it will search your computer and find those files. For example, if I want my headshots, then I type in find headshot and then it goes to the file with my headshots. Another great thing about Alfred is that you can just do quick math inside of here and it's going to give you the answer. If you hit enter, it's going to copy it to your clipboard. If you take one thing away from this video is that you should be using Alfred because it is completely free and the only time you ever have to pay for anything is if you want to use the power-ups. These power-ups are not really needed and most of the value from Alfred comes from the free version. The next tool I'm going to recommend is a really small one and it's called Rectangle. Now Rectangle is essentially just a free tool that allows you to snap your windows to the left of your screen, to the right of your screen, make them full screen, minimize them, all by using your keyboard shortcuts. As you can see inside of here, you have all the different options for snapping your windows. Then we have the ability to move to the edge, to divide it into 4, into 6, but we also have the ability to ignore certain apps. And then when you come into preferences, this is where you can change what the keyboard shortcuts are. As you can see, for me, if I want a screen to go to the left-hand side and fill up half the screen, it is just Option and then the left arrow. In the same way, if I want to go to the right hand side, it's just Option, then the right arrow. You can customize these to fit your workflow. These are just what work for me. I find Rectangle a really easy way to organize your windows without having to drag them back and forth. Changing these settings has helped save countless hours for me, and hopefully it'll save hours for you as well. If there's anything you think I missed, then please drop it in the comments because I love nerding out on little things like this. And as always, thank you very much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye.